Ladies and
What is that,
gentlemen, welcome back to the
fasted?
Big Four podcast. We are joined today by a friend of the show and special guest who is here a lot with us, Heath,
It's
providing
very, very special.
providing expert insight as always. Alex is not here. Shocking. We're gonna start
When
with
is
the
Alex
we're
here?
gonna start with the Big Ten scoreboard. Then we'll get into some other topics. We have a lot to talk about today. It's a big week for college football, as everybody knows. All right. Number 14, Northwestern took down rival Illinois 28-10. Minnesota over Nebraska 24-17. Penn State over Michigan State 39-24. Rutgers in overtime over Maryland 27-24. And Iowa dominates Wisconsin 28-7. Reactions to any of these games? Luke, go ahead.
Has Lovie Smith been fired yet? That's the only
That's
question
late
I have.
news. We'll be getting to that in the third segment. Yes, he has.
Because he's an embarrassment to Illinois. Illinois should be able to be good. They have all the things there to be good, and they just can't be good.
They have what? What do they have?
They have great facilities. They have great
No,
funding.
they don't.
They're one of the biggest. They're one of the biggest schools in the Big Ten. I mean,
Okay.
they have a great
They
recruiting
lost
base.
their magic.
Chicago,
Lost their
they're
magic
right
after
next to
losing
Chicago.
cheap
You're telling me
Illini
those
away.
kids in Chicago can get into Northwestern and go to Northwestern, but they can't go to Illinois? Give me
None of
a
them
break.
go to Northwestern.
Yeah,
None of them
exactly.
go to
When you
Northwestern.
go to
Great
Illinois,
recruiting
like
base
when there's great schools in Chicago, like Chicago State and Loyola Chicago
And
and
Bradley.
Northwestern.
Great win for Iowa over Wisconsin. I think this Wisconsin team, I think they're going to be very good next year, but I think part of the problem is they really haven't had any consistency this year with COVID and stuff like that. But great win for Iowa. And great win for Rutgers. Greg Schiano not finishing at the bottom of the Big Ten East. Let's go.
Heath, what do you think about some of these games?
Honestly, nothing surprising all around. I mean, Illinois, a very good
Surprised
Northwestern
Michigan
team.
wasn't running and gunning it this week.
Oh, yes, of course.
They were running and gunning
Too
away
bad
from
Jim
Ohio
Harbaugh
State.
was running.
I think he's going to try to outgun him and outrun
But
him.
anyway, just
Yeah, well,
good win for
apparently
Penn
they have
State
like
over
50
Michigan
cases
State.
now.
Nothing surprising there. The Spartans have been rebuilding for years. And
I think he's going to try to outgun him and outrun him.
in football. Good win for Minnesota over that shoulda, coulda, woulda 1980s.
I think he's going to try to outgun him and outrun him.
Rutgers just beating Maryland. Good win for Rutgers. Got to keep out of the bottom. Maryland just being Maryland, just sucking in all sports. What's new?
Well, they have a great basketball
Iowa
team.
keeping that
Top
resume
three in the Big Ten.
brewing by beating that blue blood Wisconsin team.
All right, Mike. How can you follow that up? How can you follow up that analysis?
Well, I guess we'll start with Wisconsin against Iowa. I said going into this game, this is the only if Iowa was going to beat Wisconsin, this was the year. Wisconsin's had inconsistency, as Luke says. COVID, a bunch of injuries to the receivers. The offensive line's been a mess. Quarterback's been a mess, and it really showed. Iowa's a good team. So if I was an Iowa fan, I would be pissed because my coach just completely ruined my chance at a Big Ten championship by throwing the ball 60 times in a windstorm against Northwestern. But that's in the past. I know Iowa fans love going, 8-4, 7-5 every year. They relish it. They relish it so much they've never fired their coach, and we'll see if he keeps his job after this year. I'm assuming he will. They would have probably gotten rid of him by now.
Are you on crack?
No, we've been.
He's probably safer than Ryan Day.
We've been hearing Bob Stoops' name at the Iowa
Sure as hell
program
safer
for
than
a long
Harbaugh.
time. Bob Stoops, an Iowa grad.
Mike,
that could have been a move they could have made.
stop. Kirk Ferentz is never getting fired.
No, it's about him retiring. It has nothing to do with him getting fired.
Oh,
Anyways.
well, being forced to retire.
Sure. Okay, Northwestern, good win. Illinois, they've had some moments this year, but they just, Northwestern's a good team. No shame losing that game. Nebraska, this is probably the worst loss of the week for a Big Ten team. Minnesota comes in without 24 scholarship players, something like that, and they still lose. Nebraska, the fourth most talented roster in the Big Ten, and these are games you can't lose. You cannot lose this game to Minnesota. This is a big recruiting win for PJ Fleck and a big win for Minnesota because I think they're a bowl team now with that win. They're 3-3 now. Depends on if they'll get a bowl invite. I suspect they will. They have a good fan base. They'll get some decent ratings. Nebraska will still probably get a bowl too. You got 2-5. Good win for Rutgers. Maryland without Cholia. He didn't play in the game. What a game for Arthur Stikowski. Really played well.
Yeah, he's always been very good.
Yeah, a good win for Rutgers. Michigan State, Peyton Thorne. I'm telling you, he's the guy, man. He's the guy. First half, he lit it up. Second half, Penn State. Penn State's they're a talented team. They made adjustments, and we just didn't play well in the second half. Especially, we have young corners out there on islands, and they're getting beat by gimmicky Penn State plays. Give them credit; they called a good game on the other side. But I'm just happy we stayed in the football game. A team that's way more talented than we were. We were able to get out to a lead early, and we played well, especially at quarterback. We're going to need that because he looks like the best quarterback we've had since Connor Cook.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, Luke, this sounds like a Cade McNamara thing right here.
Okay, Mike, you and I were both saying to Chris.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, let's relax on Cade McNamara and crowning him the greatest thing of all time.
Well, I was right. Was I not right on Cade McNamara? He came out against Penn State and absolutely sucked. And what did Peyton Thorne do against Northwestern?
Three quarters into Peyton Thorne's career, and you already crowned him Jesus.
Well, yeah, he's already broken some records. I mean, against Ohio State, he completed 11 straight passes. Against the Penn State, he did something similar. Listen, I'm not saying he's Jesus Christ as a redshirt freshman, but he's, looking at the quarterbacks we've had the past couple of years, I don't think it's even close. McNamara sucks, okay? It's already been proven he's horrible. He sucked against Penn State. Rocky threw for 375 against Rutgers. I don't want to hear anything about that. But, yeah, listen, that's a solid loss. This is a big game this week. I think Maryland's a team that's comparable to us in terms of talent at this point. So, that'll be an interesting game. But credit to Penn State for turning their season around. They should be going bowling as well. So credit to them. And
not many surprises here. Northwestern beating a rival. I'll get to the absurdity of firing Lovie Smith when we get to that. So tough break there for Illinois. Minnesota. They've bounced back pretty nice after a brutal start to the season, getting blown out by a terrible Michigan team and losing to Maryland. They've really bounced back well. Got to give PJ Fleck credit. And Nebraska, obviously they suck. We know that. That's late news. Michigan State, obviously not a good team. Just get embarrassed by Penn State. Sean Clifford.
Not getting embarrassed.
Sean Clifford again sucked because he always sucks. Probably the most.
He didn't suck this game.
Yeah, he was terrible. If you look at where quarterbacks were rated coming into this season, and even summer last year. He may be the most overrated quarterback I've ever seen in my entire life. Because this guy sucks. He can't play the game of football.
He played well. I'll give him credit.
He's horrible.
Well.
A good win for Rutgers and Greg Schiano. Arthur Stikowski, as Mike said, great quarterback. Might be the best quarterback in the Big Ten. And then Iowa. Kirk Ferentz, another great job from Kirk Ferentz this year. A team that lost a lot. They win 6 games. Beat Wisconsin. And without a good quarterback, because Petras is not very good. So I got to give credit to Iowa. All right. Now let's get to the big news of the week. The number 6 ranked Florida Gators fall at home to LSU, 37-34. We all saw the shoe throw. We all saw a 57-yard field goal. What do you guys think about this? And go ahead.
I just want to point out the fact that I called this last week. I said that Iowa State was going to sneak into the playoff, and this is what needed to happen. LSU would have to beat Florida. And that's exactly what happened. So Iowa State's still in line to get there. I called this last week. I'm right once again. I'm always right when it comes to SEC football. I've never been wrong.
Luke, if you pick, I'll give you this. If you pick Tennessee to beat A&M and that actually happens this weekend, I will never doubt any opinion of yours ever again.
Well, here's the thing. I can't be wrong either way. I can't be wrong either way because assuming Notre Dame beats Clemson, that last spot's either going to Iowa State or A&M. And I've already predicted A&M to be in the playoff at the beginning of the year.
That's a good point.
I've predicted Iowa State to make the playoff. So whatever happens, I'll be right.
That's a great point, actually. That's a great point. All right. Heath?
Honestly, not a surprise that Florida is just lack of coaching, lack of
Discipline.
sportsmanship, lack of discipline.
There you go.
Comes up and catches them. This is the same team that was starting brawls a couple weeks ago before halftime, and then their coach came out of the locker room after it, trying to hype the crowd up after it. I mean, just what a shocker! Florida has no discipline, and it's going to cost them their spot in the playoff. Honestly, I think heads may need to roll on this team if this just type of undisciplined football keeps up. It hurts the school, it hurts the brand, it hurts the football program.
Okay, well, their brand is being like a bunch of felons.
Yeah, they're actually helping their brand.
Yeah, well, I guess that part of their brand being too is missing the playoff every year.
Yeah,
Because
that's
honestly,
part of it.
Playing like that is what you're going to get.
Fair enough.
Mike?
Well, what have I said about Dan Mullen in the past? I said he's the Jim Harbaugh of the South. The dude cannot coach to save his freaking life. He's a good coordinator. He was a good coordinator with Urban Meyer. He's a good offensive mind. The dude is one of the
I don't think he was a good
coaches in the league.
coordinator. I think he got bailed out by Urban Meyer.
Yeah, just like Steve Adazio was a great coordinator for
Yeah,
Urban
just
Meyer.
like Tom Herman.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a good coach, okay? He had probably the greatest quarterback Florida's ever going to see besides Tim Tebow, just right on the platter for him. Their schedule was easy. They had three tough games. One was the SEC championship game.
What about the head ball coach? What about the head ball coach?
What are you talking about?
The South Carolina guy. What was his name? South Carolina head coach.
Spurrier?
Steve Spurrier played quarterback there.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the modern era.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they had two tough regular season games. The Georgia game, it took an air mailman fifth string quarterback and 5 defensive injuries for them to beat Georgia. And then they come out against A&M. They laid an egg there. Defense didn't show up. Kyle Trask didn't show up at the end. And then this game, just a complete embarrassment. This is an indictment on the coaching staff. They came into this game with the mindset of, oh, we're just going to roll them. That you could just tell by the way they came out and started the game. Dan Mullen thought that LSU was going to roll over and die, but no. Got to give credit to Coach O.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mike, that's not just this week. They've done that every week for like the last 5 weeks. They've started slow.
Yeah, he doesn't know what it takes to win. If Nick Saban was coaching this Florida team, they'd be undefeated. They would have won that game by 55 points. Okay, it doesn't matter what the talent level is. Okay, LSU's, they've had a bunch of opt-outs. They just had their number 1 5-star guy from last year opt out. He's probably going to transfer now. And what do? It's the old addition by subtraction thing. LSU, everybody's bought into what LSU wants to do, and they go in, they pull off an upset, and Dan Mullen needs to be fired right now. I don't know who's going to replace him, but he's a bad coach. He was a bad coach at Mississippi State. And they can never win the big game and they can't win the big game here. He needs to go. And guess what? He's not going to win anything anytime soon if he stays, because JT Daniels is going to be owning that league for at least one more year. And then we'll see what Florida can do after that. But I mean, they have their miracle quarterback in there. They're not going to find another quarterback like Kyle Trask in the next 10 years. It's not going to happen. It's over for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little strong. Over for them is a little strong, but
he's a Jim Harbaugh of the South.
I think that's
bad. It's a toxic culture.
I understand where you're coming from there, and I am on the fire Dan Mullen train now. But I don't think it's a good comparison, because I think Jim Harbaugh is a bad football coach. Dan Mullen's a
bad football coach.
Dan Mullen's not a bad football coach.
Good football coaches don't lose to LSU.
Dan Mullen is a great offensive X's and O's coach. He's a good game manager, but the problem for Dan Mullen is the team is not disciplined, and that's on him. The team is not disciplined. They don't have the right mindset.
So you're saying he's Tom Herman? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know what he
is.
Tom
Herman's a good offensive mind. His teams are never disciplined.
Sure, fine. He's Tom Herman, whatever. But the team's not disciplined. They weren't ready to play. It's like they've been just looking ahead to Bama really for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it finally came back to bite them this week.
Chickens came home to roost.
Remember, 2016? You're looking ahead to Ohio State when you lost to Iowa. Just hasn't. He's the same coach. He's the exact
but the thing is, Harbaugh's not. He's a bad football. Like, he's a bad game manager. Like, Dan Mullen's not a bad game manager.
Did Dan Mullen manage that game beautifully yesterday?
Yeah,
or
he
on
actually did
Saturday?
because
Oh, give me a
no.
break.
Here's an example. The LSU kicker, they were kind of frantically running onto the field to get that field goal off, and Mullen actually called timeout.
So one play.
And
Is
they
that what you're
and the
Chris,
announce.
I thought that was a bad call for him calling timeout.
Oh no, because they got the ball back, and they should have made
No,
the
I
field
know,
goal.
but
And the kicker missed
I
it.
just think if the kicker's running on the field, everything's going through his head. He's rushed. I don't think he makes that kick when he's rushed.
Maybe
You
but
call a
you
timeout,
can't
you
leave
give
it
him
on
time
that.
Give him time to relax.
No, well, Luke, he did not leave it on that. He left it in the hands of his quarterback, and his quarterback got him in field goal range.
No, I agree with Chris on this one.
So
you want to give your quarterback.
So
time
I give Dan Mullen
to go
credit
on
for
the
that.
field.
But anyway,
Well, I don't disagree with what he did. I don't think it was necessarily.
I get what you're saying, but you can't take that chance.
yeah, exactly.
Even
Okay.
Sure you can.
I
Well,
thought
it's
Trav.
a
one
it's a
thing if it's
damn
a
if you
30
do, damn if you
one
don't.
thing if it's a 57-yarder. You're giving him time.
Look, if he makes that, Dan Mullen's freaking name's going to be plastered all over the wall saying get rid of him after it's that stupid decision if he makes the 50, whatever, with the clock running. And then you have no time to go back and try to tie the game.
I mean, let's not ignore the fact that Florida is a shoe throw away from winning this game. I mean, everybody knows that.
Here come the excuses.
No, I'm not getting. That's not an excuse. That's on the coaching because they're not a disciplined team.
Excusenomics 101's in session.
They're not a disciplined team, and that's on the coaches. But the bottom line is they were the shoe throw away from winning the game. I also thought Kyle Trask, and I'll say it, Kyle Trash was terrible in this game. The 2 interceptions in the first half,
the
horrible. Fumble. He was bad. He was really bad. And this is a Heisman moment for him. Get your team to the SEC championship game with a chance to make the playoff, and he blew it. He was not good in this game. So Mac Jones is probably going to win the Heisman at this point. I mean, I think it should be Devontae Smith. I'm with you, Mike, but it's probably going to be Mac Jones. Yeah, it's an embarrassing loss for Florida. I don't think they're technically out of it yet. We'll get to that later in the playoff scenarios, but it's pretty much over, barring a miracle. All right. All right, we got some coaching news. Let's see here. Gus Malzahn, in a stunner, was fired by Auburn. Also, Kevin Sumlin and Lovie Smith have been fired. What do you guys have to say about any of this, Luke?
I was shocked by the Gus Malzahn news, to be honest with you. I think he's done an admirable job at Auburn, but Auburn also has a history of firing coaches that are just above average. I just think they have. That's just the toughest toughest division in sports, and I thought he's been doing a good job there, recruiting wise, coaching wise. He beat Saban It's not like he's not beating his rival, but I was shocked by that one. Lovie Smith, I'm not shocked by. He needs to go. They just have shown no progress over the time he's been there. They've not moved backwards. They've not moved forwards. And then the Kevin Sumlin news is the least shocking news of the day. He was fired before he even walked off the field after they lost 70 to nothing. That was just embarrassing for Kevin Sumlin. I'll be shocked if he ever gets a job somewhere else.
He'll be a special assistant for
Nick Saban.
Yeah. Heath, what do you think about this stuff?
Honestly, no surprise in the Arizona coaches news, just getting blown up at home by your rival. That's embarrassing, and just honestly, that a loss like that's going to knock you down at least to D3, maybe in the JUCO as a coach. Just an embarrassing loss, a career ender, and the rest of them no surprise at all. Although the Auburn was pretty surprising because he has been doing well with that school, especially when you're the second best school in your state.
Good point.
Behind the juggernaut known as the University of LA.
All right, Mike.
I'm going to start with Lovie Smith. I'll make my way to Gus Malzahn. He'll be my last person I'll talk about. I have a lot to say about him. Lovie Smith, Illinois. It's like Luke said, they really didn't show a whole lot. They made a bowl game last year, but they kind of got lucky even making that bowl game. It's a tough place to win. We all know it. Illinois. They're in the easier division of the West, and I don't think they've played as bad as the record has shown this year. They've had some good wins, some upsets. You know, they beat Nebraska. Who else did they beat? I think who they beat? Rutgers. I mean, that's not a horrible win. But you know, they just haven't shown enough. I think if I'm the AD, I want to take a chance on some young guy, or I want to take a chance on like a Chris Creighton, a guy who's shown he could win at a tough place. Arizona, that was a no-brainer. You know, Kevin Sumlin when he took the Arizona job, he had a lot going for him. I remember when he was hired, he had a choice. He had a choice between Arkansas or Arizona. He took the Arizona job because he had Khalil Tate, who is supposed to be a Heisman contender. He completely ruined his career and didn't help him at all. And then this is the first year Tate's been gone, and they've just been terrible. And I think Arizona's pretty similar to Illinois when you talk about jobs. I think it's a pretty tough place to win also. But they need someone else in there. They need to change. We'll see who they go for. Gus Malzahn. I've kind of thought about this. You know, I think Gus is a good coach, but Auburn, you know, those fans expect a lot. They invest at an Alabama level, and they expect Alabama results. It's as simple as that. And if you're not getting Alabama results, you're going to get fired there. It's as simple as that. Auburn, you know, so their fans are as rabid as Georgia fans, as Alabama fans. They put just as much money into their football program, and they expect those results. And listen, Gus was falling behind in terms of recruiting, which even one cycle. If you fall behind one cycle, you're going to be dead there. And he's had some good teams. He's had some good years. I don't think he's been a bad coach. He's been a pretty good coach. But you have to take a chance if you're Auburn. You know, you want to get to the next level. I think they're going to get Hugh Freeze, and I think that's going to get them to the next level. Hugh Freeze, what do we know about Hugh Freeze? He's an elite recruiter. And, you know, Gus was a good coach, but he was never known as a great recruiter. He's going to, you know, Auburn, what were they? Top 12, top 15? For them to be where they want to be, they got to be top 5, top 3 in the country. And it doesn't matter how they do it, but they got to find a way to get there. And Hugh Freeze is a way to go in terms of that. You know, I just think steadily.
So I feel like Auburn's goal should be you got to be top 3 in your division every year, and once or twice every 5 years making the SEC championship game.
They do
that's
that.
not what their fans expect.
They do that. That's what Gus Malzahn did.
No, I don't think they've made the SEC championship game in forever. It seems like
like 3 years ago.
Here's the thing. The fans, you know, they have good facilities. I don't think their facilities are quite at the level of Alabama, but you know, I'm sure they could probably make that. Any coach, if a coach asks for better facilities, they give it to them. Money's not the problem there. They showed that with paying the $21 million buyout that Gus Malzahn has. And I think Hugh Freeze is a guy, you know, it's definitely a risk, but I think, you know, if they want to get to the level of Alabama, they're going to have to take a risk at this next head coaching job. And I just think Gus has kind of I don't want to say he's fallen off, but he kind of has. The talent level at Auburn has steadily gone down. A couple of years ago, they were right where, you know, they were beating Alabama. They beat them like 26-14 a couple of years ago. They destroyed Georgia, but they aren't at the level they've been at. And it doesn't seem to be getting better.
All right. Well, I'll get to that in a second. But the Lovie Smith thing, absolute disgraceful job by Illinois in their treatment of Lovie Smith. Last year, listen, they made a bowl last year. And if you make a bowl at Illinois, you should never be fired because that's the most impossible job ever.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Northwestern's a harder job.
No, it's not. No.
Yes, it is.
No. Illinois, very hard job. Lovie Smith did a great job. He's a great football coach. Tough break for Lovie Smith. Kevin Sumlin, no brainer. I'm not going to talk about that too much. But I'll tell you what, I was really disheartened to see my guy Gus Malzahn get fired. It's an absurd move by Auburn. I mean, yeah, he's a great coach. He's going to get a big time job somewhere, and I'll say this right now. We can go back to it at some point if you guys want, but I'm really hoping. I know Mike will dispute this, that if Harbaugh leaves or is fired, that Michigan backs up the Brinks truck for Gus Malzahn because this guy's a good coach.
Chris, that just won't happen because Michigan's athletic administration is just too retarded to do that. This is the same administration that brought in and let John Beilein walk.
Well, it takes
John Beilein went to the NBA. Okay.
Nope, should have backed up the Brinks truck for the man who brought you to 2 Final Fours in the span of a decade.
All right.
Yeah, you should have hired Steve Fisher back.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's a disgrace. Clearly the Auburn athletic department or whatever, the boosters, they weren't satisfied with the odd year only competing in odd years. Fine. I mean, I guess, but that's really, I mean, what are they going to do? You're not jumping Alabama if Nick Saban's still there in recruiting, and you're probably not jumping Georgia if Kirby Smart's still there because he's a great recruiter. Now, Mike says they're falling behind in recruiting, but actually, you know what? And I go by average recruit, and if you look at average recruit, Auburn's doing very well this year. He says they only have...
What are they in average?
I don't know, but they're doing well.
Are they sixth in the SEC? Where are they?
No, I mean, I can look right now, but...
the point is they're behind Alabama and they're behind Georgia. That's the point.
Anyways,
they're not getting
but
closer.
you say, they only have 12 commits. That's because they have state. And I just think they could have given him at least another year, at the very least another year, because this team has so much coming back next year, and he has traditionally been good.
No, because the problem is they know he's the even year curse. So once he has a good even year, they can't fire him.
Well, next year's an odd year, so.
Oh, then how'd the even year thing work? He sucked this year. That's why they fired him.
He's only good in odd years. You're not getting it right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's cursed in even years.
Yeah, he is. It's ridiculous. Why'd they fire him?
No, here's the problem. No, you can't wait another year because Tennessee's job will be open next year, and it'll just be a bidding war for Hugh Freeze. And I don't know if Auburn wants to pay Hugh Freeze $12 million a year because that's what it's going to take to outbid Tennessee.
Listen, okay. First of all, I think Hugh Freeze is a good coach and he's a good recruiter, and that's probably who Auburn will hire, and that's not a bad hire.
He's a great recruiter.
But I'm sorry, Mike. I wasn't aware that this guy was the second coming of Jesus Christ. Okay, he is not as good as Gus Malzahn.
I'm saying he's the guy you need. Not just him. He's the guy I brought up. Mario Cristobal, another elite recruiter.
Oh Lord.
Okay, they need an elite recruiter in there because they have to be. Listen, X's and O's. It doesn't matter. X's and O's don't matter in college football.
It's the Jimmys and Joes.
It's the Jimmys and Joes. You have to get a guy in there who can get the Jimmys and Joes.
I think it's a combination. And I think the combination...
Not in the SEC. You'll have a job forever if you bring in the Jimmys and Joes.
It's 90%.
Well, Mario Cristobal is a horrible coach. So that would be a horrible hire.
It doesn't matter. He's a great recruiter.
That's
what they want.
As for Malzahn, because I care more about Malzahn than I do about Auburn at this point because I've rescinded my fandom of Auburn after they did this. I mean, I hope he goes to Michigan, but I don't know what's going on there with the coaching situation. Mike said, I believe Mikey reported yesterday that Justin Fuente is coming back at Virginia Tech, right?
That's what I think Bruce Feldman said that.
All right, so he's not going to Virginia Tech. It looks like Tom Herman's coming back. Is that right?
Yes, he is.
God, talking about a guy who needs to be fired.
Yeah. So where else are we thinking here for Gus Malzahn? I think Michigan's a possible place.
Arizona.
I think it's more likely that he'll just take a year off and do broadcasting and see what's open after this year. That's what my guess is.
Or he could become a special assistant to Nick Saban.
Yeah, honestly, he might take a coordinator job. You know, he likes calling.
Why would he do that? Why would he do that? He can make so much.
It's not a long-term thing. It's just a short-term thing.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'll just be a coordinator for a year somewhere.
What do we think of so Arizona, maybe? Luke, you said Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona. We'll have to see what else comes open.
Illinois?
Yeah, I mean, Illinois, I doubt that.
Could you imagine that? What a hiring that would be.
I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of openings.
I saw this. I don't know.
I heard Texas Tech. I heard what's his face? The Texas Tech is on the hot seat. Could be another one.
I don't know. We'll see about him. I think Gus. They did an interview with Gus a couple years ago, and Gus thought that Auburn was a place he could win. His main goal is to win a national championship. I don't think he'll take a job where he doesn't have a chance to win a national championship. He's waiting for a job that he can go to that he has a chance to win a national championship at. I don't think Arizona's that place. I don't think Texas Tech's that place.
Yeah.
I don't think Illinois is that.
So it would
place.
have to be
Michigan definitely.
It would have to be like a Michigan or a Texas. So he wants like a big brand that he can go win at.
No. I think he thinks Virginia Tech's like a school he probably could go to. I think that's a good fit. who knows? Michigan, he has no ties to the Midwest. I would not.
I think
hire
he
Michigan.
probably would want to get out of the SEC at this point.
I don't know. Well, it's a disheartening thing because I think Gus Malzahn's a great coach, and I don't really think there was anything there that he deserved to be fired.
I think he's a good coach, but he's just not. He's not doing what they want him to do there. He's not getting the results that they were looking for.
I mean, that's just not true because they beat their rivals
What do you mean
every
that's
other
not
year,
true?
and they're in the
Every
SEC
other year is
championship.
not good enough.
Boy, I don't understand. Like what? That's unrealistic. They're unrealistic expectations.
You don't understand the rivalry down there. Okay, I live in I don't know, Huntsville, Alabama. One of my friends is a Georgia fan. The other fan, another one of my friends is an Alabama fan, and we all invest the same amount of money into our program. We expect the same results. Okay. And Auburn is investing just
It's
as much
unrealistic.
in football as
It's
Georgia and Alabama. They expect
unrealistic.
the same results.
They are not beating. It's unrealistic. They're not beating Alabama and Georgia in recruiting.
Maybe it is. It
Well,
might be unrealistic, but that's their
That's what you
expectation.
would have said about Georgia before they hired what's his face.
They hired Kirby Smart.
Well,
He's a horrible football coach. They're never getting over the top with him. He's a bad football coach.
Georgia's on a hotbed though. They're in a hotbed of recruiting. Auburn's kind of the odd man out there, but they expect the results. They expect it. They might not expect the same level, but they expect to be almost right at the top every year, and they're not there every year. It's as simple as that.
Well, I mean, it's unrealistic in my opinion, and it's a ridiculous firing. Absolutely ridiculous.
We'll
All right.
see.
I'm going to skip over this Michigan-Iowa thing. We can get to that when we get to the cancellations.
I have a lot to say about that.
Luke, we need an update from Coach's Hot Seat.
Oh, I was just on the website. Perfect.
Excellent. That is our next topic.
Yeah, so
Where do we
Jim
stand?
Harbaugh, still number one. We do have an update. We officially have 7 coaches who have been fired this year. Obviously, the ones we've talked about. And then the 2 from last week, Derek Mason and Will Muschamp. And then also Steve Campbell and Matt Viator have been fired. Small group of 5 schools. But Jim Harbaugh still is number 1. Scott Frost has been moved up to number 2.
Mike, I have a quick question because you guys were just saying that. You guys were talking. I had the hot seat in my mind. Tennessee, if they fire Pruitt, Gus Malzahn, Tennessee.
No, if Tennessee fires Pruitt, they'll go with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, I don't think they'd want Gus Malzahn, to be honest. I think they'd want a recruiter, like Hugh Freeze,
like Greg Schiano.
Scott Frost. If Scott Frost is fired, Gus Malzahn, Nebraska.
That's
maybe.
not a good fit. I don't think it's a good fit.
Pruitt's still number 3. Herman's up to number 4, and Brom's up to number 5. Chris, your guy, Justin Fuente's fallen out of the top 5. He's down to number 7. And that's basically. Oh, Chip Kelly's and Steve Adazio are officially on the hot seat, and Mike Norvell. So the new additions this week. But basically, the big news is Herman, Brom, and Frost are now all in the top 5. Will any of them be fired? Do you think? What do you think?
Jeff Brom. Gus Malzahn to Purdue.
Think Brom's gone? Obviously, I don't think Herman's going to be fired because they already said they're sticking with him. But
if it's going to happen, it's going to be after this weekend or during this week. And I think that's the same thing with Harbaugh. If they're going to fire Jim Harbaugh, they got to do it right now.
Yeah, it's going to be the next couple of days. Yeah.
I can see Malzahn wanting to like North Dakota State and getting that team to finally join the FBS.
Right after all these kids sign on early signing day, they're going to fire him.
See, with Malzahn and North Dakota State, the Big Ten's sure to invite them to the Big Ten.
No.
That's a great take.
I mean, they are better than most of the teams in that Big Ten West.
Yeah, well, it's more than one sport.
All right, well, I don't know. There's not much change there. Mike, Heath, you have anything to say about the coach's hot seat before we move on?
Not really. I think Jim Harbaugh better be gone this week, or I think someone's going to be eating crow on this podcast.
Well, maybe he'll be
sad state of the sport.
They can't fire him Thursday because that's way too suspicious. They got to wait till like next Friday.
Yes, of course.
Listen, here's what's happening here, okay? I have a sneaking suspicion that Jim Harbaugh is going to be. They're going to be announcement tomorrow morning that Jim Harbaugh is going to be signing this extension. Because what is tomorrow? Tomorrow is National Early Signing Day, the December signing day, and
that's what I'm saying. They're going to fire him Thursday.
If I'm a recruit, there is no way I'm signing with Jim Harbaugh if I don't know he's the coach. So that's why I think he will be getting an extension tomorrow. Now, if he doesn't get an extension tomorrow, they might just happen after the year. But I don't expect him to be fired. I don't think he'll have much NFL interest either.
Well, Mike, what do you say to this? What do you say to people that say if he doesn't get extended tomorrow, that means he's going to be gone?
No, if you're going to fire him, they should have fired him last week if they were going to fire him. I think it's too late. Well, it's not too late, but listen, if they're going to fire him, it's going to happen within the next couple of days. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, here's what would have happened if they fired him. Okay, let's be honest. They are dodging this Iowa game, and they were dodging this Ohio State game. Why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that because they want to justify this Harbaugh extension. Because guess what? If they played those two games, they would have got blown out by 50 by both times. And you can't justify re-signing a coach after that. So what do? They fake the COVID. They get 3 straight games off, and now it looks a little bit, re-signing him doesn't look as bad.
All right, we're moving on.
My theory
we're moving on. All right, pick a game from this week that we have not discussed yet, and say something about it. Luke.
No, have Heath go first.
Heath.
I'll let him have his pick a game so I don't steal his game.
Okay, Heath.
Pick your games for what?
Well, we're talking college football, so I would probably say college football. Pick a game in college football and say something about it.
I'm going to pick Ohio State versus Northwestern. I want to pick Ohio State over.
From the past week. Heath. All right, Heath does not understand this segment. We have not run this segment with him on here. We look at a game that happened this past week. Say something about the result of that game and what you think about the result. From a game that happened this past week.
I'm going to have to commend Jim Harbaugh's ability to try to fuck over Ohio State offense by purposely giving his team COVID.
Excellent. Great point. Okay.
See, Big Daddy Big Ten had to come in and change the rules for Ohio State.
Chris,
they're legitimizing their season.
Keith is 100% right. Explain this to me. How did Michigan have 8 COVID cases last Friday, and now they have 50 today?
Listen, I don't. Mike, here's the thing. You're trying to say something about that. I don't care if they were dodging games because I don't want to watch them. So we can get to that later.
Just
in the cancellation.
Dodging games.
Michigan.
And the Big Ten bail Ohio State out. I think Ohio State should be just kicked out of the playoff for having just a bad season structure.
Yep.
And having the Big Ten bail them out.
Great point.
And changing rules right before to let them into the final.
See, you know what the funny part about that is? Michigan is such a clown show. You know what the funny part about? They were lecturing us about how great of a job they were doing with COVID, and now they're the first Big Ten team to have 3 straight games, quote unquote, canceled because of COVID.
Mike,
it's an absolute joke.
You understand?
Their program is a joke.
You're trying to annoy me or something. I don't care.
I'm not. I'm just saying that your program's a joke.
Good. That's late news. All right, Luke. What's your game?
I was going to talk about the USC-UCLA game. Came down to the wire, but Keaton Slovis threw for 5 TDs. I think he could be legit. I like him a lot.
He's only a sophomore, too.
I know. 5 TDs, 2 picks. I mean, he can work on that. He can work on his accuracy a little bit. And the running back they have, I can't pronounce his last name. Malpai or whatever it is.
Malapai or something like that.
Malapai. He's a senior. I think he's very good. And they had 3 guys with over 70 receiving yards. I think USC, I think they're a very good team this year. Obviously, I don't think they're going to get the playoff. I guess it's possible. But I think next year with Slovis back again, I think USC, I don't know how I feel about Clay Helton. He might be the weak spot of this team. But I think USC is a legit contender for a New Year's Six bowl, if not a playoff spot next year. And the Pac-12 needs it, I'll tell you that. And Chip Kelly needs to be fired. Those are all my thoughts.
Great point. Yeah, Gus Malzahn to UCLA. Okay. Mike?
Ooh. No. Chip Kelly's doing a fine job.
I don't think he's going to be fired. I don't think he's going to be fired.
He should be.
Mike, what's your game?
No, he shouldn't. UCLA
UCLA
much better.
You should be able to win at UCLA.
He's doing UCLA. They were a field goal away from beating Oregon, and they should have beaten USC. They should be.
So they lost.
They should have one loss.
So they lost.
And
so
then one loss,
twice.
they should have beaten Colorado. They should be undefeated this year.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it doesn't matter because they lost.
Mike, what's your game?
Well, I'll leave the Miami game to you, Chris. I'm going to do the Army-Navy game.
Right.
Just a classic,
Yeah.
Barn burner. Two teams. Navy struggled this year. I think, what's his name will be on the hot seat. Nehemiah Tolo. He's now lost 4 of the last 5 Army-Navy games. He's got to be on the hot seat.
Yeah,
He's
after winning like 5 straight.
They won 14 straight.
Okay. Listen, he was successful when he first got the Navy, but listen, Jeff Monken's passed him. Let's be honest. He's passed him, and that's unacceptable. Navy's got to go out, and they got to hire Gus Malzahn.
This is a really good Army program right now. They're the same team that almost beat Michigan at the Big House.
Gus Malzahn to Navy. Yes, we are starting that, Mike.
Oh, here we go.
We are starting that trend. All right, that's a great point.
The game was, let's be honest, it was a complete shit show. You could barely see the field. What is the theme? What was the theme with fog games in college football this year? There were 2 that this week. You had the Florida LSU game. You had this game. It was an interesting game for half. And was it 3-0 at halftime? It was 3-0 for a long time. Navy had a chance to score. They couldn't get in, and then Army fumbled. They couldn't recover the fumble, and then Navy fumbled, and then Army was able to get the fumble. So, that was a tough loss last year. Malcolm Perry just destroyed him for Navy last year, but this year, got to give credit to Army, and they got a big game against Air Force this week. The winner of that game takes the command. What is that? The Armed Forces Trophy or
the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy?
The Commander-in-Chief's Trophy. That's a big game this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about North Carolina and Miami. I mean, I just don't know what is Mike defending about Miami. All year, Miami's a great team. Miami's a good team. They look at all these great teams they've beaten. First of all, they've beaten nobody all season. I've been saying that all season. This is
the ACC might be weaker than the Big Ten. The ACC sucks.
No. The ACC has 3 very good teams, and everybody else kind of sucks.
They have 2 very good teams, 2 decent teams.
Miami's best wins are over NC State, Alabama, Birmingham, and Pitt.
Yeah. Carolina. I mean, I've been saying all year Carolina's a very good football team.
They lost 3 games.
Yeah, they lost the game to Florida State. They shouldn't have lost. They were right there, and they were a drop away from winning the game.
Oh my God, Florida State? Are you kidding me? My left nut could beat Florida State.
They lost to Notre Dame, and they lost a 3-point game in Virginia. They should have 1 loss. They lost a couple games they shouldn't have lost.
What it could have doesn't matter. Mac Brown on the hot seat.
They're recruiting very well. And I'd never have I seen this before. 554 yards rushing.
Yeah, the Buffalo kid had that a couple weeks ago.
Manny Diaz should be fired and never allowed to coach ever again. This is the most pathetic performance from a top 10 team I have ever seen. I mean, just North Carolina.
Yeah, he's not very good, is he?
Absolutely dominated them.
Ready for my Miami excuse this week?
Oh, what's the excuse this week?
Well, as you know, Manny Diaz was Mac Brown's defensive coordinator, so Mac Brown knew exactly what Manny Diaz was going to do. And listen, when your mentor's playing against you, listen, every assistant coach, no assistant coach has ever beaten Nick Saban, right? What is it, they like 0-14? Same thing with Mac Brown. Listen, they never had a chance in that game. Got to give credit to North Carolina. They played well, but Miami's the better team. It's pretty obvious to me.
Miami's the better team. Yeah.
Better coach team, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, what'd you say? I mean, I've never been more embarrassed for, first of all, Miami's better in the talent composite, and they still lost this game by 40 points. They are the most embarrassing team. They're more embarrassing than Michigan after this loss.
Well, no, you got to give them credit. At least they beat the teams they're supposed to beat.
I mean, what was this?
That's something Michigan can't do.
What are they doing? 62-26?
Okay, says the team that lost 62-39 to Ohio State a couple years ago, and then lost it was 56-28. Like, give me a break.
Okay, North Carolina's not Ohio State. They're a good team. They're not Ohio State. What a joke of a performance from Miami. Absolute joke. I've been calling it all year.
Listen, they've had opt-outs on the defensive side. They had some injuries on the defensive line. Listen.
They lost by 40 points. Okay. I had to get that off my chest because somehow it wasn't in here as a topic because Mike was trying to avoid it.
Well, here's the funny thing, Chris. If Miami played Florida today, they'd beat them. That's the funny part.
That's the funny thing is Florida would probably run them off the field. Miami would not come out of the locker room at halftime because
Florida
they
doesn't
are
play
god
defense
awful.
either, so Florida would
Miami would not win a
put up
game in the
55.
SEC, Mike. Miami would win 0 games in the SEC. They lose to Vanderbilt.
I don't know. The Fighting Sarah Fullers, they might be able to beat them.
Yeah. Okay.
Miami is currently projected to play Texas in the Cheez-It Bowl.
Okay. Great. So let's
It's a big game.
let's talk about the
Big game,
playoff
yeah.
rankings because they were just released about an hour or so ago. Top 10 goes as follows. We'll start at 10. Oklahoma, Cincinnati at 9, then Georgia. Florida only falls one spot to 7. Iowa State up to 6. Texas A&M at 5 in the playoff being Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Alabama. You guys have any problems with these rankings? What are the implications moving forward? I mean, you can lump the playoff scenarios into this as well. So what do you think?
There's
what do you
way
think
too
about
many
the scenarios?
ACC teams in there. The ACC is an overrated conference, top-loaded. It's not a good conference. Just outside of Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame, there just aren't. And
Miami?
North Carolina.
How about North Carolina? Yeah, Miami sucks. And blows.
North
Miami
Carolina,
sucks and blows.
There's no other good teams in that conference. So you can't tell me that
State's a very good team.
Clemson should not even be in that top 4. They
All right.
lost to Notre Dame. The playoffs should be Iowa State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Alabama.
Here's my problem.
Only one team per conference. Oh, well, we need that.
I don't really have a
2 SEC teams in here.
I don't have a big problem with the rankings. My problem this year has been how inconsistent this committee has been.
Oh, yeah. I
I
want to add that real quick. We can also talk about the committee saying there have been discussion about A&M possibly swapping spots with Ohio State.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a nothing burger. That's not a story.
That's
like,
the
I
story.
just want to just look at Cincinnati. I'm not saying they should be ranked higher. I'm not saying they should be ranked lower. All I'm saying is, how can you move Cincinnati? It's like they're like, oh, we got to put Cincinnati in the top 10. We'll just place them wherever there's a spot open. Like, it's all like, I just don't understand how you move them down. They didn't even play last week.
Yeah, sounds like a them
How
problem.
does Iowa State jump them? Who did Iowa State play? Did Iowa State even play?
No,
No.
well, Luke, here's the thing.
Iowa State, explain it. Iowa State doesn't play. Cincinnati doesn't play. Somehow Iowa State jumps
Luke,
Cincinnati in the rankings.
Luke,
It's a joke.
Luke,
The inconsistency of this committee is
My
Luke,
question is how
Luke,
an 11-0
Luke,
coastal team
what?
is somehow below a two-loss Georgia team.
What?
Okay,
Georgia
first of all, let me
would
get to
beat the
this.
brakes
Let me
off
get to
them.
Heath's ridiculous question in a second. Luke, Iowa State, the worst team Iowa State played is probably better than the best team Cincinnati's played this year.
No,
So-
that's fine. I'm. If you want to put Iowa State above Cincinnati, I have no problem with it. The problem I have is how do you take two teams? You have two teams that didn't play last week, and you're going to take the team that was ranked below
No,
and jump them?
Iowa State was ahead of Cincinnati last week.
Iowa State's worst loss is versus
No, they
Kansas.
weren't.
Yes, they were.
Worst win is versus
Cincinnati.
Kansas.
Cincinnati was
Cincinnati-
below Iowa. Iowa State jumped Cincinnati last week after they blew out West Virginia.
No.
Luke, Mike, back me up here.
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
Hold
true.
on,
Go
I'm
back and
gonna
look. Let me address Heath's ridiculous question while you're looking at that. Heath, Coastal Carolina, if they played Georgia, they would walk off the field within the first 5 minutes of the game because Georgia would be up 48-0 that quickly.
Hi, so Chris, I'd like just to let you know that I think we have a possibly UCF situation brewing.
No, we don't.
Because in the Collie poll,
Oh, okay, no.
also
Mike, what do you
is
think
at
about these
number
rankings?
2 right now. And they're only 100th of a rating percent behind Alabama.
Okay, great. Mike, what do you think about these rankings?
Here's the big thing. If Coastal wins out, I can see themselves declaring themselves a national champion at 13.
It'd be funny. I think they should.
All right,
Yeah,
Mike.
The committee's been pretty consistent. They set a precedent. They just don't give a crap about group of 5 teams, which is okay with me. I don't really care. The truth is, I don't even know why the committee ranks the top 25. Because let's be honest, maybe the top 10 is all that really matters. No one cares about the 11 to 25. I don't even know why they rank them. It's all about the top 4 and then the New Year's 6 bids, which is usually like 5 to 10, maybe 11 or 12, depending on where the group of 5 team is. And then it's clear to me there's not going to be two Group of 5 teams in the BCS, or you want to call it New Year's Six, because Florida only dropped one spot. I don't really care about that, to be honest. The truth is, if everything happens like we think it's going to happen, there's going to be no chaos, and the top 4 is going to be, right where we think it's going to be. And there really hasn't been any chaotic situations since the first year of the playoff, 2014, where Ohio State jumped TCU.
Yeah, I was going to say TCU.
Really
That's really the only one.
There really hasn't been any chaos. I don't think they.
The only thing this year is that Notre Dame Clemson game. Depending on how that goes, you could have a big question about that last spot, or you could have no question at all.
Yeah, I was going to say this could come down to we know who it's going to be after Saturday. There could also be some, if a couple things happen, there could be a crazy lead up to that.
Even if Clemson loses to Notre Dame.
No, there's no lead up because A&M gets in, no question. But if A&M lost to Tennessee...
No, I'm just... Chris, all I'm saying is, now that Iowa State's only one spot back...
Luke, stop deluding yourself. Stop going into delusions, Luke.
Men.
It's not happening. A&M is not getting jumped by Iowa State. Not happening. Unless they lose. No, 0% chance.
Here's a scenario I could see happening. Maybe the pulse of Tennessee, the final pulse. Tennessee's a talented team. Maybe they can give A&M a run for their money. But if Clemson blows out Notre Dame, and there's a question between A&M and a Notre Dame team,
no question. There's no question there. It's Notre Dame. No question.
So if they lose 59-0,
yes, there's no question. I don't care if they lose 1,000-0.
No, I disagree with you.
It doesn't. No, they don't.
The best 4.
If Coastal wins this weekend, I can see Coastal getting inside that top 10.
Notre Dame could literally throw out a Pee Wee football team and lose 1,000,000 to nothing, and they are getting into the playoff.
I don't know. I mean, you're probably right, but listen, I don't feel comfortable putting in a team that just lost 59-0 in their conference.
Well, first of all, they're not going to lose 59-0. They're a good football team.
I can see Clemson winning that game pretty easily.
Here's my crazy scenario right here. So here something that you guys are going to laugh at, but it's really a possibility. First of all, if Florida beats Alabama, it's not going to happen.
Okay,
just imagine. No, I know. Just imagine. But let's go into fantasy land for a second. Let's imagine Florida beats Bama. They will be ahead of whoever the Big 12 champ is, because if you beat Bama, you get that privilege. A&M loses to Tennessee, and Notre Dame beats Clemson. Then Florida gets in the playoff. Everybody forgets about the LSU game. What a moment.
You're forgetting about Cincinnati.
No, I'm not, because Florida's ranked ahead of Cincinnati.
Nope, you're forgetting about Cincinnati.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, I like the rankings because I like the disrespect to Group of 5 teams, because Group of 5 teams suck.
Oh, here we go.
So I love the
They should
rankings.
have their own player.
Chris, if Coastal is undefeated, they're playing a top...
All right, so that's going to be a mute, and we're going to move on
weekend.
here.
Are you fucking kidding me?
We're not talking about Coastal. We are talking about Coastal. No, we talk about relevant teams on this podcast.
Coastal's in the top 15. They're playing number 19. They're at number 12 right now. They're playing number 19, Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns this weekend. If Coastal wins that game, they better damn well sure be in that top 10.
All right. Well, we're moving at a snail's pace here. So,
give me a fucking break.
So we got conference championships and we got Big Ten Champions Week. You guys can preview. How about this? How about everybody picks a game out of any game that's happening this weekend and gives it a little preview for us.
Coastal Carolina
Heath.
versus Louisiana Lafayette.
Great. Thank you, Heath. Go ahead. Give us a preview.
This is a top 20 matchup. It's been flexed to 3:30 on ESPN.
Great. Nobody will be watching because the AC
knows that this is a
Championship is
big
at
game
4 o'clock.
over SEC games.
Nobody will be watching.
If Coastal wins, they better damn well sure be in a committee selection New Year's Six game.
Well, they will, because they'll be the highest ranked champion.
No, Cincinnati will be.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. Well, see, if Coastal wins that, I can declare Coastal, and if Coastal wins that and wins their bowl game, because currently they're projected somehow to play in the Cure Bowl against Marshall. I don't know how that's happening.
Wins their bowl game, they can claim it also because they're undefeated. So
yeah, no, according to the no, but see, you can only claim that if you're number one on a poll.
Exactly, like you have to consider the college poll.
Nowhere close because the Coastal's played a tougher schedule than Cincinnati. As much as I love the American, the Sun Belt's just been a better conference this year with App State, Louisiana Lafayette, Coastal, some other great teams in there. Coastal beat a amazing BYU team. Coastal already has 2 ranked wins under its belt. They can get a third one this weekend, and I think that's just a damn well path to a New Year's Six game for the.
Well, it's not because Cincinnati's
Chickens.
higher than them. So.
Okay, Luke, what's your game?
Obviously, I'll choose the Big 12 championship between number 6 Iowa State, number 10 Oklahoma. I think this is going to be the best game of the week, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think
right.
these two teams are the most evenly matched teams. Obviously, Iowa State won the matchup earlier in the year. I'm assuming they're playing at Jerry's World. Yep, they are. But Oklahoma's been hot. They've won their last 5 games, maybe even more than that. I can't see farther than that. But Iowa State's also won at least their last 5 games. And I think that you have Spencer Rattler versus Brock Purdy, which is a big matchup. I mean, Rattler's played a lot better down the stretch. 24 TDs to 7 interceptions. Purdy, I feel like, is more of a game manager because they have Breece Hall, who I think should be a Heisman finalist. He has 1,300 yards this year and 17 touchdowns, which is just absolutely absurd. In 10 games, he has 17 touchdowns. I think he's going to be the difference maker for Iowa State if they want to win this game. He's going to have a big game. But these two teams, if you look at their defenses, they're pretty evenly matched when it comes to yards allowed. And their offenses, when it comes to yards per game, they're pretty evenly matched. I mean, their defenses are both allowing 21 or 22 points a game. Iowa State's offense isn't scoring as much, but that's because they rely more on the ground with Breece Hall, and they run it more, so they have there's less time on the clock. Oklahoma throws the ball a lot. I just think if you're going to watch one game this weekend, I think that's the game to watch.
Mike, go ahead.
This could one more thing. This could also be Matt Campbell's last hurrah. If he could go out leaving Iowa State with a Big 12 championship, what a legacy that would be. He'd be a legend. Build a stadium.
Yeah, as much as I want to preview Michigan State, Maryland, and I know that's probably going to be the game of the night, I'm going to go over to the SEC and talk about the beatdown that is going to happen in Atlanta. The Alabama Crimson Tide are about to hang about 75 points on the Florida Gators. And I've told you all year, this Florida team, overrated, bad coach team. And this Alabama team, they're an absolute machine. They went into Arkansas. Arkansas is not horrible. You know, they're probably the greatest 3-7 football team of all time. They went in there, and they just destroyed them. I mean, early in the first half, you know, it was 3-3 for a while. But they're just a machine. They never overlook opponents. And this game's, you know, they could lose this game. Alabama could lose this football game, and they're still clearly in the playoff. Like, they don't even have a shot of missing the playoff. There's a 0% chance they miss it. But listen, Nick Saban, he's going to have his team ready, and they're going to absolutely destroy Florida. Florida has no defense. Alabama's number 1 in the SEC in scoring defense. They're not a great defense, but they're a very good defense. And they've shown it the past couple of weeks. They destroyed Bo Picks. Flying Felipe, they held him to 3 points. So I think it's going to be a complete and utter bloodbath. I'm going, you know what? We're going to mirror the Arizona State score at 70-7. That's a really, 0% chance Florida even covers. What is the spread? About 21 probably? What is it?
17.
Okay. Yeah, they'll cover that easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest game this weekend is the ACC Championship, but I am not going to preview that. I think pretty much we all agree Clemson's going to win the game. Actually, no. Luke somehow thinks Notre Dame's going to win, but I'm
the path for Iowa State.
I'm going to go and preview the. I like the Texas A&M Tennessee game. I'm very interested in this game. Now you have the Big 12 championship and you have the Big 10 championship at 12. You also have this game, which I think this game's probably the most influential in terms of playoff implications. And I think Jimbo Fisher is going to show you the difference between him and Dan Mullen this weekend against Tennessee. Because I think they're going to go in there and just kill them. And that's what Florida should have done to LSU last week to stay in the conversation. If A&M wins this game, they are square in the playoff conversation. And if Notre Dame does beat Clemson, they're in. So I like what A&M does. They have a great rushing attack with Isaiah Spiller. And Kellen Mond does not turn the ball over. He makes the throws when he needs to make them. This is a very, very interesting game for me to keep an eye on this weekend at 12 o'clock. And I may end up watching this over the other two.
Well, Chris,
It's
I'll
very
tell you
interesting.
what. Tennessee has the formula to win this football game. Listen, they've had a just complete disaster at the quarterback position. But what does Tennessee do well? They run the football. They've been running the football well on everybody this year. Their problem has just been turnovers. If they can keep the turnovers in check, they can control the line of scrimmage. They got a good offensive line. I think this game could be close, especially, what is the weather? I'm assuming it's going to be pretty cold up there in Tennessee. That could be a factor.
51
Talent difference
degrees.
is not that big. 51 degrees. Okay, that's not a big factor. But listen, the talent, there's not really much of a talent gap. I know A&M's the more talented team, but Tennessee, they still got those Butch Jones guys in there, those top 10 classes. They're still a pretty talented football team. I could see this game being close.
No. A&M is a better team. They are a better coach. They have a better coach. They're going to be ready to play, and they're going to blow the doors off Tennessee. And Jimbo Fisher's going to show you why he's an elite coach. All right, let's get through these picks quickly. Actually, no, I'm going to go through the canceled games, and then we'll get to the picks. Purdue, Indiana, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Miami, Arizona, Cal, Michigan, Iowa, and Oregon, Colorado were all canceled. Although the last one was because Oregon was flexed to the Pac-12 championship because Washington has COVID issues. Mike, are you
Oh
saving?
God, that's got to be the biggest kick in the balls. If
Yeah,
you're
that
Washington.
sucks.
That'd be like Ohio State getting COVID issues and then Michigan going to the Big Ten championship in their spot. Oh my God, I would kill myself.
That would suck. Okay. The picks standings. Mike is 9 games ahead of me. He's in first place. Luke, 19 games back.
I've made 0 games back. All my picks this last week ended up being a
You
wash.
actually lost the game from last week.
An absolute wash. Looks like we're gonna have to pulling out some great new picks this week.
Okay, we got 22 picks and we got 8 minutes, so let's get through them. UAB and Marshall for the Conference USA Championship.
Marshall,
big game for the herd.
Yeah, Marshall.
Ball State and Buffalo for the MAC Championship.
Buffalo,
Everybody circles the wagons like the Buffalo, whatever.
Nebraska at Rutgers. Big game.
I'm thinking Nebraska because Nebraska it seems like a Nebraska game to win, so their fans can go up like, oh, Nebraska's back. Wow.
I'm going Rutgers.
I'm going Nebraska.
Rutgers, and I think this might be a nail in common for Scott Frost.
No, he'll get another year.
Oregon and USC for the Pac-12 Championship.
USC.
Yep, it seems like a perfect day for the Trojans to pull something out of their ass versus an Oregon team that just shouldn't be there.
I'm taking Oregon.
Yeah, I'm going to take USC. Texas A&M at Tennessee.
Tennessee, let's go. Let's fucking go.
I'm picking A&M. It's just an A&M. It's a must-win for A&M. I think they're going to come out and just get a big win there. I think it's a Tennessee team that is just honestly in the basement of the SEC, along with their brethren of Vanderbilt, who somehow is the worst team in college football this year, according to the College Matrix.
Are you shocked? Are you shocked about that?
Not really. I mean, when is the SEC going to kick them out, honestly? They're just the
Bring back
worst team in the
Tulsa.
SEC.
Bring back
except for
All right,
Tulsa.
here we go. Keep this moving here. Mike, Texas A&M, Tennessee.
A&M, close.
A&M for me as well. Florida State at Wake Forest.
How's Wake Forest this year? They any good?
They're
They play
fine.
Clemson.
They're okay.
I'll take Wake Forest.
I will take the Demon Deacons.
I'll take Wake Forest also.
Wake Forest.
Fuck, I'll take Florida State.
Wake Forest. Oklahoma and Iowa State for the Big 12 Championship.
Iowa State, they're making
Iowa
the playoff.
State.
Oklahoma in a blowout.
Oklahoma in a blowout for me as well. Ohio State and Northwestern for the Big 10 Championship.
I'm taking Northwestern. Because honestly, Ohio State is being
Ohio State.
having the rules changed around and be flexed into that
Ohio
into
State.
the Big Ten championship.
Ohio State. And
Coach
by
Carl's
about
gonna show up
50
big in
points.
that game.
Mute him.
Washington State at Utah.
Utah.
Utah. Air Force at Army.
Get on in that matchup. It's just
I'll
not
take
easy
Air
to
Force.
win that Commander-in-Chief's trophy.
Air
I'll take Air
Force.
Force. Fuck, I'll take Army.
Army for
Who
me as
takes Air
well.
Force?
Louisiana and Coastal Carolina for the Sun Belt Championship.
I'll take Coastal Carolina.
I'm taking my Chancellors. Big game for the Fun Belt Championship, and this could give them a national championship.
Just pick the fucking
Yeah,
game.
let's go. He picked Coastal. Let's go, Mike. Next, who you got, Mike?
Coastal Carolina.
I'm taking Louisiana as an upset.
Oh wow!
Ole Miss at LSU.
Ole Miss.
I'm picking LSU. Just Ole Miss is just a train wreck. And I think
LSU.
LSU after their big win.
Okay, yeah.
Get it back on track.
I'm taking Ole Miss. Missouri at Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Will Rogers, my guy.
Mizzou.
Missouri.
Clemson and Notre Dame for the ACC championship.
Notre Dame.
I'm picking Notre Dame. Honestly, just
Clemson.
beat them once, beat them twice.
Clemson. Minnesota at Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, big game. I will say, I just want to make a quick note. I like how the Big Ten, instead of matching them up by where they finished in the division, I'm glad they're trying to get some of these rivalries back.
I'm picking the
Minnesota and
Gophers in that one.
upset.
I'm
Yeah.
Gophers in an upset.
Agree. I'm taking Minnesota in an upset. Boise State, San Jose State for the Mountain West championship.
I'm picking Boise State.
What'd you say, Luke?
Boise State.
Boise State.
Boise State for me as well. Illinois at Penn State.
Penn State.
Illinois.
Penn State.
Penn State. Michigan State at Maryland.
I'm picking
Maryland.
the Terrapins in that one. Just Michigan State is just a train wreck waiting to happen.
Michigan
Yeah,
State.
I'll take Maryland.
Maryland. Alabama and Florida SEC championship.
Picking the Gators in that one.
Yeah, give me Alabama by 50.
Alabama.
I
Alabama.
think Florida's learned their lesson about throwing cleats.
Alabama. Tulsa and Cincinnati American championship.
Cincinnati.
I'm picking UCF Golden Knights in that matchup because they're the real ones.
Yeah. well,
Cincinnati.
okay. Cincinnati. It's a no pick for Heath. Last two games. Stanford at UCLA.
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 I'll take Stanford.
Also going to take Stanford because I need to make up games. All right. Arizona State at Oregon State. Big
Oregon
game.
State.
Oregon
Arizona
State.
State. Oh, wait, Arizona State. I'll take Arizona State.
Yeah.
I'll take Arizona
Yeah.
State.
I'll take my Beavers.
I'm gonna take Arizona State.
No.
Bullshit.
You don't get to do
Bullshit.
that.
You
No,
said
you don't get
last
to do
week-
that.
You said
No.
last week you never pick against Jonathan Smith ever again.
I can do what I said.
No. You are not picking Arizona State.
I'm taking Arizona
No,
State.
you're not.
Oregon State just gets screwed. They've been getting screwed all year long.
No,
You're
you
gonna get
take.
screwed
No,
again
Mike
by the
picks
ref.
Oregon State for our viewers out
I'm
there.
taking Arizona
No,
State.
I will take Arizona
viewers?
State because
You have
they're
viewers?
nasty.
I'm
All
also
right,
taking Arizona
all
State.
three of us are taking Arizona State then.
All right. Well, do we have
Wait, Luke, you want to change your pick?
No.
Okay.
we have anything else to add before we finish here?
Michigan sucks.
Yeah, Michigan sucks. Harbaugh's gonna be
The Big
back,
Ten's
and
a
I'm
joke.
gonna be I'm setting up a GoFundMe to send a pizza party to the Bo Schembechler Hall for when they re-sign him. I can't wait for it.
That's great. Thank you, Heath, for joining us. Hope to have you
My
back on
pleasure.
soon. We'll see what happens this weekend. Thank you for watching.